The game you're about to see here today is not the most interesting game you've ever seen, or the highest damage game that you've ever seen, to be sure. But what it does do is illustrate a point that I've been trying to make for the past couple of weeks. Let's face it, this entire weekend I really didn't play World of Warships Legends at all. Instead, I spent most of it playing Hogwarts Legacy. And part of that is because Hogwarts Legacy is a really fun game, but the other part of that is because the quality of gameplay in World of Warships Legends, at least it seems to me, has drastically deteriorated in recent times. Games, by and large, these days seem to be one-sided blowouts where the outcome of the battle is clear within the first 5 minutes, and it just sort of cuts down my fun on enjoying the game when that happens. I want games to last for the full 15 minutes. I don't want them to be decided. I don't want the outcome to be essentially predetermined within the first 5 minutes because everybody dies. And that seems to be one of the major contributing factors to the fact that these blowouts continue to occur with such regularity, is that people are simply perhaps too aggressive or just not thinking about where they put their ships, and they sink very, very quickly. So this entire game is just going to demonstrate the value of staying alive for the full match. Really nothing else. One of the only reasons we win this game is because we manage to stay alive the entire time. Now, we're pushing out here on the Charlie flank, and we are in a division, which is sort of an unusual thing for me. I've got Aaron and Cranky with me, actually. Cranky is in the Destroyer, he's in Charlie, he's just flipped it, and Aaron is in the most effective cruiser at Tier 6, aka the Tiger 59, somewhere outside of that cap. But if you take a look at the enemy's position on the map right now, you'll notice that pretty much the entirety of the enemy team has come over here on this Charlie flank, and the blue team is all over at Alpha. In fact, the blue team has entered Alpha. Looks like they are getting reset a little bit, but they've got a destroyer and 2 battleships way out there. We at Charlie have a destroyer to deal with, or we did until Cranky sunk it. We had a destroyer, we have these 2 battleships over here, we've got 2 cruisers, and then we've got another battleship lurking around somewhere behind the island chain over that way. If we push straight out into all 5 of these ships, all 5 of them are going to shoot at us. We can't even see. Well, now we can see 3 out of 5 of them, but prior to this very moment, we couldn't even see 3 out of 5 of them. So it would have been suicidal to push forward. Instead, we've turned around. We've already taken the Charlie cap. Our work here is essentially done. And Cranky, he's inside of a smoke screen, so that's the reason we're not really getting a lot of spotting. Once he comes out, things should be a little clearer. But, oh, what do you know? Since we're the only teammates over here on this side of the map, and because Cranky was concealed in that smoke screen, nobody notices the Ramat, the new Pan-Asian cruiser, sneaking up near him, and unfortunately that is going to spell the demise of Cranky. You see here what would have happened, I suppose, to us if we had pushed in. Not only is that Ramat shooting at Cranky, but the rest of the enemy ships are. And, you know, Cranky is a tiny little target with not a lot of HP. The combined efforts of the team there do manage to take down the Ramat, but not before we lose Cranky. That's okay, though. He's taken the Charlie cap. Our teammates look like they're going to have no problem taking Alpha, and all of the destroyers have perished save for 1. And that 1 destroyer is on our team over in the Alpha flank, so theoretically we have an advantage. We don't have to worry too much. And there, we get our first substantial hit into anything this game, the Nagato with HE, but we've determined, along with Aaron, at this point, the only thing we can do is run. Again, if we want to turn around and push in, we've got a Nagato, a Bayern, a Congo, and some unidentified cruiser out there. We're already down to about 2/3 health. The Nelson doesn't have a lot of armor. Yes, it's got 32mm side plating that can bounce 16-inch guns and smaller, but it's also got an overmatchable bow by 15-inch guns and larger, same is true of the stern, and 32mm of armor isn't all that thick. A lot of high explosive will penetrate that, not to mention larger caliber AP and the like. Even if it can't overmatch, it can still very easily pen. So we don't want to push in. Even with our super heal, we're not going to be able to heal through all the damage that the Nagato, the Bayern, and the Congo can inflict on us, particularly since the Nagato, at least, has been shooting armor piercing, and he can hurt us very badly. The Nagato's guns can be pretty good when they hit, plus the Bayern can overmatch us too, so if we get into a situation where we're pushing bow in to all these ships, we've got an overmatchable bow by 2 out of the 4 of them, and the focus fire would just simply melt us too quickly. But there's really no reason to push in. Both teams are even in terms of ships sunk, although the enemy team is still at the disadvantage of not having a destroyer. Aaron, by the way, takes a huge hit there from one of the battleships and actually nearly dies. He's smoked up, so hopefully he's no longer spotted. And maybe these guys will continue to shoot at me, but as soon as I see that, well, Aaron does deploy a super heal, I suppose, and he does get a lot of that back, but this just reinforces my notion that we've got to continue to run, and this might not be the most interesting sort of gameplay you've ever seen, but what's the alternative? The alternative is to turn straight in, rush at the ships, do as much damage as I can, and then sink. That leaves Aaron here alone, and, well, if both Aaron and I sink, then my team has no presence on this part of the map. We've only got the alpha flank under our control, and you can see our teammates have actually pushed forward straight into the enemy spawn. They're chasing those 2 battleships on the other side of the map. It's sort of a mirror inverse of what's happening on this side of the map. Aaron and I are being chased by the vast majority of the enemy team. Those 2 red battleships on the other side of the map are being chased by the vast majority of our team. But unfortunately, the enemy ships have the better position compared to the rest of our ships. You can see that a couple of them are actually entering Bravo right now, or at least the Talon is about to. And if he flips that, then that's going to give the enemy team a 2-cap advantage, which would be the first sort of actually useful thing that anybody has done in this game since taking the Bravo, or rather the Charlie and the Alpha caps. Nobody else has really accomplished too much this game. Cranky got his cap, but then he sunk. Aaron and I have just been running this whole time. So really the question here is, how is this game going to develop? Well, one of the enemy battleships that my teammates on the other side were chasing has gone down, and that just leaves one final battleship pushing back toward the cap circles, while another battleship on the red team comes down from Charlie, pushing toward the direction of our destroyer. So hopefully that destroyer is going to torpedo them or something, but you can see Aaron pinging the map over there in frustration. To be frank, these guys on that side of the map aren't really in a position to do anything about the Talon getting into Bravo, for example. We have no spotting on that. They aren't really in a position to play objectives of any kind. Maybe they'll damage that Nagato that's pushing into them, and that would be good, but they certainly haven't set themselves up for success. And by the way, neither has that Nagato. How many times have I said it to you folks? When you are in a battleship, you may have the most HP out of all the classes of ships in this game. You may be the tankiest, but you cannot tank 3-4 different ships. That Nagato is pushing into 2 battleships, a cruiser, and a destroyer. It's no shock that he's about to go down, and the fact that the enemy team, I suppose, pushed into the ships here, the fact that my teammates were able to all 4 gang up on a battleship and take it down, great. But the fact that the Nagato chooses to push into them alone, that's only playing into our hands. And now we're in a situation where it very much looks like we could win this game. Despite the fact that the enemy team has 2 out of 3 of the capture circles, the Talon is sort of alone. He is spotted by Aaron. I don't think anybody can yet shoot him, but we'll be in a position soon where we can. Meanwhile, this Bayern and this Congo have spent the entirety of this game. Remember, they spawned up by Charlie. They came through Charlie, and they've been chasing me and Aaron for the entirety of this match. They haven't managed to sink either of us. They did a catastrophic amount of damage to Aaron. They did a fair amount of damage to me. But both of us are still alive. I think Aaron is unspotted and deploying his final smoke screen. This is where the fight to decide the battle is really going to come down. Theoretically, the enemy team could still win here. Both the Congo and the Bayern are almost at full health. Luckily for us, though, I think both of them have been shooting high explosive this entire time, which is sort of a sign, especially if they're shooting, well, especially if the Bayern is shooting high explosive at me. It's sort of a sign they may not be familiar with what shell is the best shell to use in which situation yet. In any case, we're on fire twice because of their constant shooting of high explosive. Now that we're on fire 3 times, I assume we're going to use the damage control party here and deploy one of our super heals. Yep, there we go. We're switching to the AP for the Talon, getting kind of dangerously low on health as the Talon spots Aaron and nearly takes him out. We get a big hit there on the Talon, and what do you know? Despite the fact that we've only been running away this entire battle, and it really feels like we haven't done a lot of damage, we've done enough damage to enough ships to get the high caliber medal. We're at 108,000 damage done now. The Talon does go down. So does Aaron, by the way, but that's okay. It's just the Bayern and the Congo left. And now the Bayern and the Congo... Oh, no, Aaron's still alive. What am I saying? Now the Bayern and the Congo are pushing into Bravo. Note that they're pushing in between me. And then the other battleships on our team are actually finally in a really, really good position for once in this battle. I don't think they've done it intentionally, but because of where I am and because of where they are, if the Congo, based on his last known position on the map, continues to push forward anymore, he'll be inside of Bravo between me and my battleship teammates. That's called a crossfire. I don't think anybody intended to create a crossfire in this game, but it's always nice when mistakes of positioning lead to wonderful surprise benefits like this. In any case, the Congo stands no chance, but imagine what would have happened if Aaron and I, at the moment Cranky had sunk, had simply turned in to fight these ships with any kind of aggression. I think what would have happened should be clear to anybody with enough experience in this game. We would have been focused down and we would have sunk. But because we didn't do that, because we turned around and ran away and sort of honestly waited on our teammates to clear out the alpha flank and come back toward the center of the map, well, all in all, ladies and gentlemen, that is the true reason that we won this game. The Congo goes down, of course. We do get the high caliber, the fireproof, and I think the, what is it called? The tanky medal, the dreadnought, for our efforts, and we get top on the leaderboard. Wouldn't have happened if we'd played too aggressively and died within the first 5 minutes of the match. So you see, even a battleship should focus on its HP and staying alive for the entirety of the game. Go out there and try it today. You might be surprised by how much your fun factor improves, or how much your win rate improves. Hope you enjoyed the video. If so, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing if you haven't, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.